Hi, I made a series breaking down the Lakers roster. We're going to go through these guys position by position, talk about their background, fit on the team, and what their individual goals are like for this season. So let's get into the video. So we'll get started here with Schroder. This guy's 29 years old, 6'3", 172 pounds. In his last season with the Lakers, he averaged 15.4 points a game on 44% from the field and 34% from three. Schroder was drafted 17th overall by the Atlanta Hawks some years ago. He was later traded to OKC and then to the Los Angeles Lakers, who actually offered him a 3-year, $84 million contract which he turned down. Last year, he ended up playing with Boston for some time before being traded to Houston. And most recently, he got Germany to the Eurobasket semifinals. They only lost to the eventual champions in Spain. So in Schroder's last stint with the Lakers, the offensive efficiency was not great. Now, he did have a flash of good efficiency the year before with the OKC Thunder off the bench, 47% from the field, 39% from three, but I'm worried that that's just like a single blip. He got lucky one season. He's also got a 2.1 assist-to-turnover ratio in that last season he had with the Lakers. Now, that's not exactly terrible numbers, and neither are the field goal and three-point percentages. It's just the amount of volume this guy takes. If he's not putting up very good efficiency, it really hurts the team. Speaking of hurting the team, his last season with the Lakers in the playoffs, he played terrible for them in the playoffs. He was shot chucking and not playing winning basketball. Now that sort of is his game, he's very, like I mentioned, very high volume, not the greatest efficiency, but it all culminated in Magic Johnson saying this guy is not a Laker. So that's really got to hurt, and hopefully they can have some conversations and work that out this year. So this time around with LA, I want to see Schroder take a reduced role, begin the season with him off the bench. He's a high volume guy, shooting the basket, dribbling the basket, uses the ball a lot. That's not a great fit with LeBron James, and you saw that in that previous season too. LeBron's assist number sort of went down there. Let this guy earn the starting spot though. I think it's definitely possible for him to achieve that, but he's got to have a lot more efficiency on some lower volume and show some effort on the defensive end. He has averaged about a steal a game in the past, so there's definitely some promise there. Now, this is also a great opportunity for Schroder to get paid. He's on a prove-it $2 million deal. This is a massive media stage here in LA, and the Lakers need him as that Russ replacement. So they're going to make sure, even if he's not doing the greatest, he's going to stay on the team and have opportunity to prove himself. In the last stint with the Lakers, he almost got the bag. He turned down what he thought was too little, so maybe this time he can get paid again. We'll see. Okay, next up we got Patrick Beverley. He's 34 years old now, 6'1", 180 pounds. Last season with the Timberwolves, he averaged 9.2 points on 34% from three, and he actually racked up 4.6 assists per game too. Beverley was drafted by the Lakers actually back in 2009, but he didn't really stick here in the league. He spent some time overseas, and then he returned on the Rockets roster. That's where he hurt Russell Westbrook in that playoff game. Later, he was traded to the Clippers in the Chris Paul trade. They had him for a few seasons. He had that moment there in the playoffs with Kevin Durant when Kevin Durant said, "I'm bleeping Kevin Durant." Then traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves last year. And interestingly enough, in these 13 years he's played in the NBA, he's only missed the playoffs twice. Beverley's calling card is that he's always been a menace on the defensive end. His nickname, 94 feet, is exactly indicative of that. Last season with the Timberwolves, he actually averaged 1.2 steals and 0.9 blocks. That's pretty crazy for a 6'6" point guard, even if his arms are super long. So he's got all those intangibles on the defensive end. And in the locker room, he's going to be pretty divisive. He's going to call people out. It clearly works in some situations, and some it might not. Now, I definitely see him standing up to Russ. I would love to be a fly on the wall and watch all those interactions go down. Russ already doesn't like Pat Bev from, hurting him and, sort of derailing his career, messing up his athleticism when he was just going into his prime back in the day. And Russ's ego is definitely going to take a hit too when Pat starts taking his minutes. Maybe he's finishing games instead of Russ one night or starting another night. Now this could all that could all spark an explosion in the locker room. I do think though that Bev's intentions will be the best, but you just got to keep that in mind. Now on the offensive end, Patrick's actually a super underrated playmaker. I don't hear anyone talk about his 3.5 assist to turnover ratio. I mean, he's not going to be running your offense, but he's smart with the ball when he does get it, and that's the perfect match for LeBron James. He's also a play finisher. He does not score that well inside, only 41% field goal, so stick to easy buckets inside the three-point line. But he does hit threes well. I mean, last season, 34% from three, not so great. Career, 38% though. I think that's why some people say, oh yeah, this guy can't shoot at all, and other people say he's a shooter, because last season the shooting wasn't that great, but historically, he's close to 40%, man, and those are really hard to come by. As for Patrick's role on the team this year, first off, do your thing in the locker room, be outspoken on effort. They really lacked this last season, especially towards the end of the season. Actually held, except for the very start of the season, they were pretty lackluster in terms of effort. Tell people how it is too. You got Russ and AD in there. Really get an AD's ear, but try not to destroy everything, please. On the court though, put the heat on Russ. You do fit way better with LeBron James. So the 3-point shooting and the smart passing, that's going to be a really big plus when Darvin Ham thinks about who am I putting in this starting lineup. So put the heat on Russ to perform, because if not, man, you definitely do have an opportunity to be that starting point guard. Defensive spirit too. That sort of thing's super infectious and something that Pat Beverley hangs his hat on, and something that the Lakers championship squad did back a few years ago with Frank Vogel. They were awesome on the defensive end. So in particular, I like him to get in AD's ear. He's the super big key to the Lakers' defensive success. That guy's a top 5 defensive player in this league, man. He's amazing. Now, Patrick here, he's got 1 more year, $13 million. That's actually quite a big payday for this guy. And if he can fix this Lakers team, he can fix just about anything. And I'm sure he'll get another big contract after this too. Our last point guard here today, fan favorite, Russell Westbrook. He's going to be 34 years old this season, sitting at 6'3", 200 pounds. Last season with the Lakers, he averaged 18.5 points a game, 7.1 assists, and 7.4 rebounds. Those are pretty solid numbers, man, at least from the high-level perspective. As for his history, he was drafted at 4th overall by the Supersonics, which then became the Oklahoma City Thunder. He was an MVP in the 16-17 season, just, 5 or 6 years ago now? And he actually averaged a triple-double in his last 3 seasons with the Oklahoma City Thunder. After that, though, he got traded to Houston and another Chris Paul trade, and from Houston to the Wizards, and then finally from the Wizards to the Lakers last season. So in the past, Russell's been a workhorse, man. He puts up crazy stats, and he thrives with the load of a team on his shoulders. He has significant deficiencies in this game, though. You need to build around him. Think about in Houston, them trading away Clint Capella for Robert Covington to give him space inside to get to the basket. And he's in this declining star stage point of his career as kind of Carmelo-esque. He has the ability to put up crazy numbers. The problem is just the cost of these numbers. Russ is like dough on a pizza. It fills you up. He does a great job of doing this, but dough itself isn't a whole pizza. It's not going to taste that great. The Lakers have plenty of dough with LeBron James and some sauce there with AD, but they need toppings and compliments, man. Some smart playmaking, efficient shooting, and scoring. Westbrook is not a pepper. He's not a mushroom. He's not a pepperoni slice. Not yet, at least. So that brings us to his low trade value. He's shown so far he can only be that dough base, which now in this point of his career is just a floor raiser. You're not going to starve, but you aren't looking forward to rice and broccoli every night. So this is going to be a huge season for us. He had terrible coverage from the media last year, and the only real path for him for success is to work it out here in LA. Prove you can become one of these spicy jalapeno toppings here. Now, it's a little bit doubtful whether that's going to happen because he fired his longtime agent who wanted him to work it out in LA, but the Lakers do need to give him some opportunity to raise his trade value, as an asset, and also there's a lot of sunk cost fallacy going on here too. I mean, you're paying this guy almost $50 million this year, and you traded away some great players for him too. KCP, Kuzma, and I'm missing somebody else too. So let's see what happens if Russ actually does get traded. Right now, he's just going to get bought out by another team, and he'll be lost in the wind like Carmelo was a few seasons ago. It's a lot harder to prove you've changed once you're already out of the league. And it's worse for Russ than it was for Melo, because Russ's game is not nearly as skill-based. It's not obvious what role can Russ fill in some other system. Like Melo, okay, he can shoot 3-pointers. So, that's about half the players in the league right now. So the optimal situation, I think, is Russ's attitude improves. He doesn't need to go to the bench, but he also can't be worried about if he's starting on the bench, if he's starting the game, if he's finishing games. He just needs to worry about what's best for the team and showing a good attitude and professionalism while doing so. Also, learn some kind of new play style that's a little bit less ball dominant. Show some potential as a role player, because that's going to be very important for your next contract. And then comes the trade deadline. Now, if the Lakers are bad, just keep Russ, eat that contract, and you can find a new role next year with the Lakers or somewhere else. And then the Lakers can, they can either choose to sign him for something very little, or they can use that $50 million of cap space that just opened up to go sign somebody like Kyrie Irving. Who knows? Now, if the Lakers are good, maybe they keep Russ or they trade him. And if the Lakers are good, that probably means Russ's trade value is a little bit higher than it is now. The key here is for Russ just to change his mentality and become someone that can fit into his system. That way, some team's going to actually pick him up for that next contract. Because right now, it's hard to see how he fits into just about any team in the NBA. So this is probably one of the most exciting positions to watch all season, and I'm sure because it's the Lakers, it'll be in the media constantly. Because all these guys are pretty similar skill, man. Like Rusty brings energy and driving skill, but the fit isn't so great on the team. Pat Beverley, you have defense, offensive efficiency, and intangibles. And then Dennis Schroder, you're somewhere in the middle there. I predict to start the season, Russ will actually be in the starting unit, but the three are going to fight for minutes all year long. And the Lakers are actually set up okay in case they trade Russ. Pat Beverley, I think, fits in so nicely in that starting unit with LeBron James. You know, he can make that second pass, the one obvious pass to someone who's open, or he can knock down the open three. And Dennis off the bench against second units is probably pretty scary. We saw what he did in OKC a few years ago. Hopefully we can find that Dennis again. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Look out for my shooting guard video coming out tomorrow, and I'll see you there. Peace.